Hello, I'm Dr. Vanita Rattan. Today I've got with me Dr. Ravina Bernard, and we are talking all things women's health. And today's video is all about period pains. Why do we get them? What we can do about it, mistakes that people make. So if that sounds good to you, please give me a thumbs up and we will dive right in. So my first question is, what are the different types of period pain? For me, I personally tend to feel majority of the pain on day one. That's when I bleed the heaviest. I go really white. I'm basically hemorrhaging, and I'm just not in a good mood. It's a pretty difficult day for me that day.
Yeah.
But what are the different types of period pains?
Yeah, okay, fine. So period pain is a massive issue, and most women, in fact almost all women, will experience some kind of discomfort during their period, and if not during their period, but perhaps in the upcoming days before their period, which is during the luteal phase, also known as premenstrual syndrome, and that's a time when you can get some uncomfortable symptoms. So talking about period pain, medically we call it as dysmenorrhea, and you have two types. You have primary, which is the first type, or you have secondary. Most people in society will have primary, and that's the type of pain you get when you just start your period. So this will start in your 20s, in your teenage years, and it's just as you explained, it's usually on the first day of your cycle or some days before. And this is just something that some people are a little bit more sensitive to, other people may not be as sensitive to. And then the second type is secondary dysmenorrhea. And this is something that occurs a bit later on in life. So you may have normal periods, they may not ever affect you, and then suddenly one day you get really extreme period pain. Okay. And this is usually a sign of something underlying. So there's a secondary cause for it. So things like endometriosis, fibroids, there's lots of different reasons as to why you have period pain. And this is something we'd like to investigate. And so we may do a scan, we might do some blood tests to support any diagnosis. Yeah. And this is something that's less common and can occur usually like towards 30s or 40s. Generally, period pain gets better with age, but of course it depends on what the cause is.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. So other than period pains, what other red flag symptoms can you get?
Yeah, okay, so that's really important. So we need to be talking about what symptoms are normal and what are red flag symptoms. Okay. So red flag symptoms we need to know about, doctors need to know about, and we want you to come and talk to us if you have any key red flag symptoms. So let's first talk about what's normal and what's not normal. Yeah. Normal symptoms are, so period pains, usually in the lower abdomen, radiating to the back, sometimes down towards your thighs and your upper legs. You can also get some nausea, some vomiting type symptoms, and then before your period you may get some breast tenderness, you might feel a bit sick and bloated, you might be moody, that's really common, some mood changes, as you probably have all appreciated and experienced. I definitely have.
Do you think it's worse during the teenage years? So this is the other thing I'm hearing from a lot of the mums is, well, my daughter's 8, but the other mums have got kids that are a little bit older, and at 13, 14, when they're starting to go through their period, do you think that mood swings are harder to manage at that age? Do you think they're more extreme than they are in your 20s and 30s, or do you think we just get better at managing our mood?
Oh no, 100%. When you go through puberty, it's one of the life-changing events that young girls go through. Your hormones are all over the shop. They're not regulated. They're sky high. And as young girls, you don't always know how to deal with this major change that's going through your body, and it can affect every part of your body, not only your periods, but how you feel about yourself, how you look, how it can make you a bit bigger, it can make your breasts bigger, it can affect your skin. There's so many changes mentally and physically. So actually, no, it is quite a traumatic time for so many children.
I think that's the right word.
And they're not children. They're not even children. They're young adults.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't belittle them because it's a big life-changing event that they're going through.
How do you talk about this with your child? Like, I'm always thinking, I don't want to do the typical parenting where you just tell your kid to get on with it, and you sort of maybe don't give it its due respect. Because I think for me, I would want my child to first of all feel confident and comfortable to come to me and say, Mum, like, this is what's happening, and I need a hug, and I feel so sad, and I don't understand what's going on. Because truly, you know, I have one phrase that I say to my husband. I say, I feel so sad and I don't know why, and he knows my period is about to happen. But it's like a kind of sadness that's so deep that it just, and everything's going really well in your life, and there's sadness inside you, and you just can't, it doesn't make any sense. And I think we didn't discuss this, I think, as a kid. Definitely, this was not a conversation. You know, you'd just be sitting there crying and your parent would just tell you to keep quiet. It wasn't like, let's have an open discussion about, you know, how you're feeling. So how do we communicate to our children? We know just how difficult it is. Everything is changing your life. I can't even imagine. I can't even remember just how bad it was. You're crying one second, you're slamming the door the next second, you're boiling your eyes out the next second.
I think you've banged it on the head, because actually this is seen to be a taboo topic. Our parents perhaps didn't talk to us about it, but we need to be having an open conversation about it. And when I started YouTube, I thought, you know what, this is what we need to be talking about. We need to get to the heart of these really taboo, stigmatizing topics that no one wants to talk about. Who wants to talk about their period? No one does. So actually having an open conversation and actually saying, you know what, we've all been through this, and it is a really difficult situation, and I really understand what you're going through, and I know it's a hard time, so you know what, I'm here if you want to talk about it. And it's actually just as simple as just having that conversation and saying that to them.
You're right. I think, honestly, I think when you say, look, I've been through that, I know how horrible it is, it's awful, you feel so sad, you don't know what to do with yourself, you just want to cry. I've been there and I'm here, like, you can come and cry on me. Like, we've all been through it, and you can literally go to any mum and they've all been through it. You can cry on anyone's shoulder and you aren't alone. We've all been through it, we're all going to go through it, and it's completely normal. I think that is actually a really comforting thing for a 13-year-old to hear. But yeah, no, we definitely need to talk more about teenagers and psychology for teenagers, I think, in another video. But let's get back to period pains.
Sorry, so I didn't actually tell you the key red flags. Women, you need to know about these key red flags. We went on like a little different topic altogether.
We'll go down on
But red flag symptoms that I really want you to just take away from this video are any abnormal bleeding. So that's bleeding when you're not on your period, but in between your cycle. Any abnormal discharge, anything yellow, green, smells a bit fishy, we need to know about. Any bleeding after sexual intercourse. So as soon as you've had sexual intercourse, if you notice any bleeding, any spotting, we need to know about it, because we need to think about things like underlying causes like cancer, or if there's any STI, any problems with the cervix. So those are some of the key symptoms that I want you to let us know about.
Actually, really good information. So I have noticed that some of my friends, you know, don't really go through as much pain as I might do, and other people might go through even more than I do. Why does it vary so much?
Yeah, no, that's such a good question. So we're going to go into a little science lesson. So if you're interested in science, great.
Everyone here is interested in science.
Even if you're not, I'll keep it as simple as possible. So a lot of people get period pains, and some people are more affected than others. And the reason for why we're actually getting the pain is because we are bleeding on a monthly basis. And what happens in your body when you're bleeding? Well, your body secretes some chemicals known as prostaglandins. And these are chemicals that do lots of different things in the body. But during your monthly cycle, they go to the muscle in your womb, and they're causing a contraction. And the muscle is really squeezing to get the lining of your womb out. The lining of your womb is what is your bleed every month. And those prostaglandins are causing contraction in your womb. So similar to when you go to the gym and you pump some weights, you're contracting your muscle and it's squeezing. So that same thing happens to your womb. And some people have more prostaglandins that are released than others. Some people have wombs that are more sensitive to the prostaglandins than others. And it's that contraction that's causing the pain that's referred to the back, to the tummy, down the thighs. So that's why some people are really affected by them and others aren't. And that leads on to some of the treatments that we can give for it. And there is lots of research going into the particular types of prostaglandins that are more painful, and why some people have more of this particular concentration of prostaglandins. It's a really exciting space if you know it's something you're interested in. But that's actually where lots of treatments are being targeted.
Right. So the flip side of that is if you have a very heavy day one period where presumably your womb is contracting more than somebody else who maybe bleeds over 5 days or 7 days.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a correlation between how heavily you bleed and pain?
Well, I think that's a difficult one to answer because there's so many causes for heavy bleeding, and that does lead on to the secondary dysmenorrhea that we spoke about. So some people just have painful periods, and some people have painful periods for an underlying reason. So if you have fibroids, endometriosis, you have an underlying gynecological issue that we can help you with, that we may have to treat surgically or medically, and those can not only influence the pain that you're experiencing, but also how heavy your bleed will be. So we know women with fibroids will have heavier bleeds, and particularly if you look at all the women in the population, there are some subsections of the population that will have an increased risk of fibroids. So we know Afro-Caribbean ladies do suffer with this. We know that Asian ladies will suffer with things like polycystic ovarian syndrome, and by educating these subsets of the population, we can help cater to those particular women, so we can give them targeted treatments. So it's difficult to answer whether it's related
all the additional
things that it could be. Exactly.
So what would be the best pain relief that you would recommend?
Okay, fine. So number one thing that we would always suggest for period pain is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. Now, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, also known as ibuprofen, is a really common medication, but the reason why it works is because it acts directly on that prostaglandin. So we are literally getting rid of those prostaglandins that are causing that contraction in the womb and are causing the pain. Now, if that's just not cutting it for you and it's just not helping, which of course in so many women it doesn't, you can ask for something that's more targeted to the womb, and that's something called mefenaic acid. So it's a different type of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. You can get it from your doctor, and it's excellent with helping pelvic pain. And then there's also sort of lifestyle things that help to reduce the prostaglandin. So heat, hot water bottles are always my saviour. I used to keep them with me all the time when I knew I was about to start my period, because it's excellent. You just keep it there and it reduces that contraction, which causes the pain.
One really strange thing for me is running really helps. I don't know why. Is there a reason for that? Why does running help so much?
Yes. So exercise there's proven evidence to show that exercise reduces pain. And that's because we are increasing our happy hormone, our endorphins, our serotonin, and that deregulates our pain, not only our pain hormones, but also our pain receptors. So we're increasing the happy hormone that reduces that pain. And that's just why it's how lifestyle can have such a massive influence on not only your physical health, but your mental health, and just giving you a holistic approach to a better life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I don't know about you, but growing up, exercise really wasn't instilled. It was like study. You can sit there, you're not going out, you're not running, you're not doing anything. But actually, with the next generation, I feel like exercise is number one. Literally put exercise and education simultaneously. That's what I do with my children. It really is. Okay, have you been running? Although Josh is lazy. He's a bad boy. There's something like the cuter the kid, the less
they get away with more.
Yeah, they get away with more. They just do everything less. Sienna was a little very different. But anyway, that's by the by.
You're right. We do need to exercise, and the reason why it's so important is because we have all these problems in the world. We've just come through the COVID pandemic, but we're actually dealing with an even bigger pandemic, which is obesity. And we know that obesity has such a big impact on not only our fertility, but also so many other conditions like your cardiovascular health, type 2 diabetes, heart issues, blood pressure. And so we need to be instilling exercise, from a young age, healthy eating.
Do you think it's an Asian thing though, like South Asian thing? Like, I don't know about you, but were your parents very much into healthy eating, healthy exercise? Like, was this part of your growing up, or was it something you did later on by yourself?
Yeah, it's interesting. So my parents have always very much been into yoga. So, that's not only great for stress relief, but it helps with your flexibility and your movement. But things like aerobic exercise, you just do it at school.
We sort of did it later, didn't we?
And I felt actually that exercise for me was like my release. So if I had a stressful day, I knew I'd either just go to sleep and be really depressed, or just slump in front of the TV, or I could just go to the gym and it would make me feel re-energized. I feel like, you know what? I need to do this for me because it just gets that stress.
But that's later, like at 16, 18, right? Like gym is like
gym, yeah,
later,
yeah.
right?
I did that a bit later, and then at school I was sort of doing like netball, and that's more of a social thing. You don't think, oh, I'm going to do netball because it's going to increase my endorphins. You don't think that. You're like, oh, well, all my friends going, so let's go play netball.
So she had good hand-eye coordination. So no one picked me for the netball team.
It's okay. We developed. We had to practice.
Do you know what? Thank God. Like we both dance, so dancing became, I think, a really big outlet. So this is our Bhangra dancer. I'm like a classic dancer. This, I think, was like the only sort of like exercise that we had as a kid. But no, I do think the next generation have it better because we're more educated. It's just slightly different priorities, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
And my last question is, if all of the pain relief that we've discussed so far doesn't work, what are the other options?
Yeah, so of course for many people, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories don't always work. Yeah. So we need to think about what is a more sort of sustainable type of medication that can help you. Now, splitting it into primary and secondary. So if it's a primary dysmenorrhea, so the type of period pain that's the most common, there's no underlying reason, then we can think about hormonal types of treatment. So you have the combined oral contraceptive pill or the combined patch, or we also have the progesterone only. So that the progesterone only is not only a pill, but you can also think about it as a coil. And these all work in different ways. But in essence, they all just stop your period. And so if we're stopping the period, then we are not having that constant contraction and the bleed.
Okay.
Now, if you have an underlying issue, so fibroids, endometriosis, the treatment will differ slightly. So if it's endometriosis, we'd have to first think about medical options. So the pill, Mirena coil, and I have done a video on endometriosis. But if you are, that just doesn't help, the medical treatment, then we can think about surgical treatment. So that'd be like a laparoscopy where we can actually go in, have a look inside your womb. So that's like keyhole surgery. Yeah. And so we have a look inside the womb, see where the endometriosis is, and we can actually remove that. Okay. And by removing it, it's thought to reduce the pain. And so that's thought to be quite effective.
So that's quite extreme though. By that point, that must be extreme agony.
And many women, period pain is a monthly battle. This is not just something that, it's a bit of pain, it affects me. It affects them every single day of their life. And that's how extreme it can be. And in 1 in 10 women, they will have this severity of pain where it affects their daily life. Wow. So we really need to go to all measures to help protect these women and give them the most support we can, even if it is surgery.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
So of course it is extreme, but if we can get rid of, the endometriosis or fibroids or, whatever is causing the pain, then that can be really effective for women.
Do you feel like women, we talk about this enough? Considering it's 1 in 10 women, I don't feel like 1 in 10 women are telling me about their extreme period pain. No. Is this something that we just hide and we pretend like we're embarrassed about, or what is that? Do you think that's...
No, as I said, it's just not, it's so under-resourced, it's under-looked into, we're not talking about it, there's so much stigma with it. We do need to be having an open conversation because it affects so many women. And what surprised me is when I'm in my clinics and people tell me about some issues, I'm sometimes the first person they've ever told.
Wow.
They don't even tell their partners, they don't tell their children. Wow. And women just endure so much pain throughout their life, and they just get on with it. Yeah. And as amazing as women are, that's not the way to be. If you've got a problem, we need to help you, we need to deal with it. So that's why I think it's so important for us to have a community where we can talk about issues and we can help you.
Yeah. Wow. So every time I talk to Ravina, she blows my mind. So thank you so much for today. I really appreciate
Enjoyed it. Yeah.
Please do write down below any other videos you want me to make with Dr. Ravina Bernard. She does have her own YouTube channel as well, so please do follow. You can follow me also on Instagram, so it's Dr. Vanita Rattan, Skincare by Dr. V, and also on TikTok. Please do join our private Facebook group too, called Dr. V Stock Family. And if you haven't got your free guide, please do get it. The link is down below. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Take care.
Bye.